During this week's video, we removed the rear hatch on our Grand Cherokee and mount a spare tire. Also, spring is in the air, so we threw the half doors back on the Grand Cherokee. Welcome back to the channel. This week's video, we're working on Goldie. We got a wheeling event coming up in a couple days. And if you're like me, you always kind of want to do, another mod to your vehicle before you go take it out. That's me at least. And today I bought this ladder rack that is less than ideal to be a ladder rack anymore. I got a really good deal on it at an auction. It was $20. I thought maybe I could put it back together, resell it, and make some cash for more Jeep parts. But it's a little beat up. But that's not going to stop us from cutting it up and making something that I've wanted to do on this Cherokee. What leads us to the back of the Grand Cherokee? You can tell it gets a little beat up in the woods. And this liftgate is getting a little beat up. It only wants to open half the time. I believe the body is just twisted too much. And we have a lot of rust going on. As you can see over here, we can see the outside of the Jeep. We got the spare tire, so my thoughts are to delete the rear hatch. This off-road rig is going to become more dedicated to strictly off-road. It already is, but if we're going to do that, we're going to start lightening this thing up a little bit, eventually sectioning the back half and putting a little roll cage in this Grand Cherokee. So let's start by removing this rear hatch, cutting up some of this ladder rack, and I scored this spare tire mount off of an old camper that we junked out, and it has the same bolt pattern as this spare tire. So this will live somewhere in the back of this Jeep, and we're going to replace that rear hatch with a spare tire. So let's get to cutting. Oh, and we're gonna take the winter doors off and put the half doors on. Look at the gross water that was living inside of the ladder rack. Icky.
It's orange chocolate milk.
Ew. We're not drinking that.
No.
Well, I got everyone in bed. Now it's time to put myself in bed. And I'll see you guys in the morning. Well, it's the next day, and we took that rear hatch off. And I think we've gone from ugly to uglier. But trust the process. I want to lop off most of this back. I do want to shorten the rear of this. As you saw earlier, the rear subframe is rusted. Almost completely gone. I am actually surprised how well that bumper holds on and what we have towed and got pulled out with that bumper, because that subsection is pretty much non-existent. So I do want to shorten that eventually, but for right now, we're going to just mount that spare tire. So we got the spare tire mounted on the wheel, but we did mount it on the front side of the wheel because these are minivan wheels. The back spacing on the wheel is opposite. Then we got this piece of angle iron that we cut from the ladder rack, and we will use that as the mounting bar back here. Cut a little of this plastic out, and we will mount that bar on the back side of this B pillar. Well, we got the tire mocked up in its position that it's probably gonna live in this area. And I think we'll have to take this little bump stop off from the existing spare tire. Side marked, so we'll cut this piece of plastic out. That bar in the back. Well, look at here. We got a bar burned in. We just tack welded it for now. We got this piece mounted on here still, but I believe we're gonna have to straighten this piece out so we can fasten up here on this bar. So we'll flatten that out, fasten here, and I think I'm gonna cut this plastic off and then bring some legs down. Now I know why the rear hatch didn't work, because this guy is completely rusted off, and this whole section kind of dances, you know, because we have a giant hole right there, because this is completely rusted out. And again, remember that this is just, you know, a temporary ordeal, a little jerry-rigging action that we're gonna do, because like I said earlier, we just gotta chop all that floor out, do a tank tuck, and back half this Grand Cherokee. But for now, let's see if we can get that spare tire mount on that crossbar. We are making headway on the free spare tire rack, the spare tire holder. We added this little feller in here, so when you set the tire up on the bracket, that center piece is kind of like your centering hub will center your wheel, so it's easier to throw those bolts, lug nut bolts. I don't know. They're kind of one-offs. What are those? You know, it reminds me of like the European Volkswagens, where you just throw this bolt in instead of having the stud hanging out. So it'll be a lot easier to mount that spare tire, put that centerpiece on there. We're gonna add a little skeleton back here to attach this bottom piece. That was the approach. Instead of having it this way, we are gonna come down with a bracket, a little skeleton, and attach it right to where the latch was on this back hatch. Passes the shake test. Pretty sure this setup is a lot stronger than this Jeep has been in a long time. So now we can test fit this big old tire to see if the theory works with that little tube action. So we throw it up there, grunt a little, see if the holes line up, which they appear to so far. See what's happening here? I can't, but hoping it works. It's always the fear after you finish weld everything, right? The metal expands so much and moves, which feels like is the case here. Shoot! All right, we got them started. Just had to, get into it a little bit. Ooh, why does it go that way? Well, there you have it. We got a pre-runner now with a spare tire. I don't think we gained any weight by taking this rear hatch off, but now we can carry our spare with us. It is mounted on here solid. I do have to put a little stopper on the backside, that skeleton bar. The bar that we put from the middle of the bracket down to where that hatch was. There does need to be a little stopper there for this spare tire to cinch up a little bit, which I'm just going to use the old spare tire rubber mount, similar to kind of what we need to do there. We need to cinch that tire up against this little rubber mount. So I'll put that piece on, not in this video, but I can give you guys an update on that later. And we do have another surprise coming right in this area, but it's not here yet from Amazon. So catch that on the next video, because in the next video, we're gonna be going out for my birthday. We're gonna do a little wheeling this weekend. I won't even have time to kind of finish this up. Maybe I'll get those taillights in before we leave, but I don't see any prep work going on to cleaning that spare tire mount up in the next couple days. This guy's gotta work. We leave in 2 days. And we also put on the half doors. Man, this ZJ looks good with half doors. And now the pre-runner look. As always, thanks for watching, and until next time.